You take your blood pressure medication every single morning. You check your numbers faithfully. You've cut back on salt, just like your doctor said. And yet, your readings are still higher than they should be. Some mornings, you see that top number creeping toward 150 or even 160, and you wonder what else you're supposed to do. Here's what almost nobody tells you about blood pressure after 60. Medication can only do so much because the real problem isn't just in your blood, it's in your arteries themselves. After decades of use, those blood vessels start to stiffen. They lose their flexibility. Think of a brand new garden hose compared to one that's been sitting in the sun for 20 years. The old hose is rigid, brittle, unable to expand and contract the way it used to. That's what's happening inside your body right now. And when your arteries can't stretch to handle the pressure of each heartbeat, your numbers climb higher and higher, no matter how many pills you swallow. But here's the part that changes everything. Your arteries are not concrete, they're living tissue. And living tissue responds to what you feed it 3 times a day. There are 5 specific foods and eating strategies that research shows can reduce blood pressure by working on the root cause, the inflammation and stiffness in your vessel walls. Not next month. Not after you finish some complicated diet program. Starting with your very next meal, we're going to count them down from number 5 to number 1, saving the most powerful strategy for last. And that number 1 strategy, the one that shocked researchers when they saw the results, can drop your systolic pressure by an average of 7 points within weeks. 7 points. That's the difference between being in the danger zone and being in a much safer range. Stay with me, because by the time we're done, you'll know exactly what to put on your plate tonight. Number 5. Eat your vegetables first. This sounds almost too simple to be real, but the science behind it is remarkable. When you sit down for dinner tonight, before you touch the rice, before you take a bite of bread, before anything else goes in your mouth, eat your vegetables first. Every single meal. The entire serving of greens, broccoli, carrots, whatever vegetables are on that plate. Here's why this matters for your blood pressure. When you eat carbohydrates on an empty stomach, they break down quickly into sugar that floods your bloodstream, causing a sharp spike. Your pancreas releases a surge of insulin to bring it back down. That insulin surge is the problem. Insulin causes your blood vessels to constrict. Right there at the dinner table, your blood pressure is climbing, and you have no idea it's happening. But when you eat vegetables first, something completely different happens. The fiber in those vegetables, especially soluble fiber from things like broccoli, carrots, and leafy greens, forms a physical barrier in your stomach. Think of it like a mesh or a net. When the carbohydrates from your rice or bread arrive a few minutes later, they have to pass through that fibrous barrier to get absorbed. That slows everything down. Instead of a sharp blood sugar spike, you get a gentle, gradual rise. Your pancreas releases insulin slowly and steadily instead of in one massive wave, and your blood vessels stay relaxed instead of constricting. Research published in the journal Diabetes Care tracked adults who changed nothing about their diet except the order they ate their food. Vegetables first, then protein, then carbohydrates last. After just 2 weeks, their post-meal blood pressure readings dropped measurably compared to when they ate the same foods in a different order. The food was identical. The portions were identical. Only the sequence changed. One patient described it as the easiest thing I've ever done for my health. She wasn't exaggerating. So tonight, before you reach for anything else on your plate, finish every bite of vegetables first. Let that fiber do its job. Your arteries will stay more relaxed, and your blood pressure will respond. It's a small change in habit that creates a powerful effect every single day. Now let's move to something even more effective. Number 4. Apple cider vinegar with every meal. 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar in a glass of water with every meal. That's the strategy. And before you dismiss this as some internet health fad, let me show you exactly what the research says, because the mechanism here is surprisingly well understood. The active compound in apple cider vinegar is acetic acid, and acetic acid does 2 things that directly lower blood pressure. First, it improves insulin sensitivity. It helps your cells respond to insulin more efficiently, so your pancreas doesn't have to release as much. Less insulin means less constriction in your arteries. Studies show consuming vinegar with a meal can reduce the insulin response by up to 30%. Second, Acetic acid stimulates nitric oxide production in your blood vessel lining. Nitric oxide is your body's natural signal to relax and dilate. It tells your arteries to open up. There's an entire class of blood pressure medications designed to do exactly what nitric oxide does naturally. A study published in the Journal of Food Science followed adults with elevated blood pressure who consumed apple cider vinegar daily for 8 weeks. By the end of the study, their average systolic pressure had dropped by 4 points and their diastolic pressure by 2 points. That might not sound dramatic, but consider this. They changed nothing else. Same diet, same exercise, same medications, just added vinegar. Here's how to use it correctly. 1 to 2 tablespoons in at least 8 ounces of water. Never drink it straight because undiluted vinegar can damage your tooth enamel and irritate your esophagus. Use a straw if you can to protect your teeth. Drink it about 10 to 15 minutes before you start eating or sip it throughout your meal. 1 glass with breakfast, 1 with lunch, 1 with dinner. The effect is cumulative. It builds over time. Within about 3 weeks, most people start seeing consistent improvements in their numbers. One important caution. If you have a history of stomach ulcers or severe acid reflux, talk to your doctor before starting this because the acidity might aggravate those conditions. But for most people over 60, this is one of the safest, simplest, and most affordable tools you can add to your routine. It costs about $3 for a bottle that lasts 2 weeks. Compare that to the cost of an extra blood pressure medication and the side effects that often come with it. As effective as vinegar is, the next strategy on our list works through a completely different pathway, and it targets a problem most people don't even know they have. Number 3. Walnuts before bed. Most people check their blood pressure in the morning, maybe once in the afternoon if they remember, but here's what almost nobody talks about. What happens to your blood pressure while you're asleep? For many adults over 60, pressure doesn't drop the way it should during the night. Normally, your blood pressure should decrease by 10 to 20% when you sleep. It's your body's way of giving your heart and arteries a rest after a full day of work. But for many people over 60, that nighttime dip doesn't happen. Pressure stays elevated or even spikes while you're lying there completely unaware. And this is dangerous. High nighttime blood pressure is linked to a significantly higher risk of stroke and heart attack. The problem is your regular daytime readings won't catch it. You can have perfectly acceptable morning numbers and still have a serious issue happening every single night. That's where walnuts come in. About 30 grams of walnuts, roughly 14 halves, eaten 30 minutes before bed, has been shown to reduce nighttime blood pressure. Here's why. Walnuts contain omega-3 fats that reduce inflammation in vessel walls. They also have melatonin, which relaxes arteries. And they contain compounds that signal your vessels to open up. Together, these 3 compounds send a clear message to your cardiovascular system. It's time to rest. Stand down. Relax. A study from Penn State University tracked adults who ate walnuts daily for 6 weeks. At the end of the study, their nighttime blood pressure had decreased significantly, and their arteries showed improved flexibility. The researchers noted that the walnut group experienced better sleep quality as well, likely because their bodies were finally getting that proper nighttime cardiovascular rest. Here's how to make this work. Measure out 30 grams. That's about 14 walnut halves. You can count them if you want to be precise. Eat them about 30 minutes before you get into bed. You can eat them plain, or chop them and mix them into a small bowl of unsweetened Greek yogurt. The key is consistency. Every single night. Your cardiovascular system runs on rhythms and patterns. When you give it the same signal at the same time every day, it learns to respond. Within about 2 to 3 weeks, many people notice they're sleeping more deeply and waking up feeling more rested. That's not just the melatonin. That's your heart and arteries finally getting the recovery time they've been missing. 1. Caution. Walnuts are calorie-dense. Those 14 halves are about 185 calories. If you're watching your weight, you might need to account for that by reducing calories somewhere else during the day. But for blood pressure management, especially that dangerous nighttime elevation, this is one of the most effective and pleasant strategies you can use. The next strategy on our list requires throwing out something you probably have in your kitchen right now, and replacing it with something that works completely differently in your body. Number 2. Replace seed oils with olive oil and butter. Go to your kitchen and look at the cooking oils in your cupboard. If you see canola oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, or corn oil, you need to understand something critical. Those oils are one of the primary reasons your blood pressure stays elevated. For most of human history, people consumed roughly equal amounts of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. Today, the average person consumes 15 to 20 times more omega-6 than omega-3. That extreme imbalance drives chronic inflammation throughout your cardiovascular system. Those refined seed oils are extremely high in omega-6. Every time you cook with them, you're adding fuel to inflammatory fire in your artery walls. And inflamed arteries are stiff arteries. Stiff arteries mean high blood pressure. But here's what makes it even worse. These oils are chemically unstable at high heat. When you cook with them, they oxidize. They break down into toxic compounds that directly damage the delicate lining of your blood vessels. You can't see it happening. Your food doesn't taste any different. But the damage accumulates meal after meal, year after year. A study published in the British Medical Journal analyzed data from over 100,000 adults and found that those who consumed the highest amounts of omega-6 rich vegetable oils had significantly higher rates of hypertension and cardiovascular disease compared to those who used traditional fats like olive oil and butter. The difference was not small, it was measurable, consistent, and statistically significant even after controlling for other dietary factors. So, what should you use instead? 2 things. Extra virgin olive oil for everything that doesn't require very high heat. Salad dressings, light sautéing, drizzling over vegetables, roasting at moderate temperatures. Extra virgin olive oil is rich in natural anti-inflammatory compounds. It also contains healthy fats that actively support blood vessel function. Decades of research from Mediterranean populations show that regular olive oil consumption is associated with lower blood pressure, reduced inflammation, and better cardiovascular outcomes across the board. For higher heat cooking, use real butter, not margarine. Margarine is made from those same problematic seed oils we're trying to eliminate. Real butter from grass-fed cows if you can find it. Used in reasonable amounts, butter is far better for your blood pressure than the refined oils most people cook with every day. I know this contradicts what you may have heard 20 or 30 years ago. The avoid butter, use vegetable oil message was everywhere, but the science has evolved. And the data now clearly shows that replacing industrial seed oils with traditional fats like olive oil and butter reduces inflammation and improves blood pressure. Check your cupboard tonight. If you have canola or soybean oil, you don't need to throw it out immediately. Just stop buying it when it runs out. Replace it with extra virgin olive oil. That one swap, consistently applied over 3 to 6 months, can make a measurable difference in your blood pressure readings. But as powerful as this oil change is, the number 1 strategy on our list outperforms everything we've talked about so far, and it does it through a mechanism that rivals prescription medication. Number 1. Hibiscus tea 3 times a day. This is the most powerful food-based blood pressure strategy that exists. 3 cups of hibiscus tea daily, hot or cold. And the research backing this is not subtle or ambiguous. It's clear, consistent, and clinically significant. Hibiscus is a deep red flower used in traditional medicine across Africa, Latin America, and the Middle East for centuries. You might know it by other names: sorrel, carcade, or simply red tea. It has a tart, cranberry-like flavor, and it contains natural compounds that act on your blood vessels in a very specific way. These compounds block an enzyme in your body called angiotensin-converting enzyme, or ACE. That enzyme is responsible for producing a hormone that causes your blood vessels to constrict. When you block that enzyme, your vessels relax and your blood pressure drops. This is exactly how a major class of prescription blood pressure medications works. They're called ACE inhibitors. Lisinopril, enalapril, ramipril. You may be taking one right now. Hibiscus does the same thing naturally. A landmark study, published in the Journal of Nutrition, followed adults with mildly elevated blood pressure who drank 3 cups of hibiscus tea daily for 6 weeks. By the end of the study, their average systolic blood pressure had dropped by 7.2 points. 7 points. That is not a marginal effect. That is clinically significant. That's the kind of reduction that doctors consider meaningful protection against stroke and heart attack. Another study compared hibiscus tea directly against a standard ACE inhibitor medication. The tea was nearly as effective as the drug at lowering blood pressure, with the added benefit of causing none of the side effects. No persistent dry cough, which is the most common complaint with ACE inhibitor medications. No dizziness, just clean, effective blood pressure reduction. Here's how to use it correctly. 3 cups a day. You can drink it hot or cold, depending on your preference. Brew it strong. Use 1 to 2 teaspoons of dried hibiscus flowers per cup of water. Steep for at least 8 to 10 minutes to extract the active compounds. No sugar or very minimal sugar, because added sugar works against everything we're trying to accomplish here. If you need sweetness, a small spoon of raw honey is fine, but keep it minimal. Drink 1 cup in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and 1 in the evening. The effect builds over the course of the day and accumulates over weeks of consistent use. Most people start seeing noticeable improvements in their readings within 2 to 3 weeks. By 6 weeks, the full effect is apparent. One important caution. If you are already taking an ACE inhibitor medication, talk to your doctor before adding hibiscus tea to your routine. Because combining a natural ACE inhibitor with a pharmaceutical one can push your blood pressure too low. That's not the goal. We want controlled reduction, not overcorrection. But for people who are not on ACE inhibitors or who are taking other types of blood pressure medication, hibiscus tea is a safe, effective, and genuinely pleasurable way to support healthy pressure. You can find dried hibiscus flowers at most health food stores, online, or in the international aisle of many supermarkets. It's inexpensive, usually around $8 to $10 for a bag that lasts a month. Compare that to the cost of adding another prescription medication and the side effects that often come with it. This is the single most powerful food-based intervention for blood pressure that modern research has identified. 3 cups a day, every day. Your arteries will respond. So there you have it, 5 ways to lower your blood pressure with food. From eating vegetables first to using apple cider vinegar, from walnuts before bed to replacing seed oils, and finally to the remarkable power of hibiscus tea. These are not supplements. These are not expensive programs. These are simple foods and strategies you can start using tonight. Your blood pressure didn't climb overnight, and it won't drop overnight either. But with consistency, these 5 strategies work together to reduce inflammation, improve blood vessel flexibility, and bring your numbers down to a healthier range. Often within weeks, sometimes even within days. Pick one strategy from this list and start there. Maybe it's the easiest one for you. Maybe it's the one that resonated most. Just pick one and make it a habit. Then add another when you're ready. That's how sustainable change happens. Not all at once. One decision at a time. If this video helped you, subscribe so you never miss another one, and drop a comment below telling me which strategy you're going to try first. I read every single comment. Take care of your heart. It's been working for you every minute of your life without asking for anything in return. It deserves this.